أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. Continuing with our topic which we started, unity in diversity in Islamic history. We said we're planning to discuss those areas where the Shias and Sunnis united together and worked together. That's the actual plan. Inshallah, those will be the last 2 or 3 discussions which we will have towards the end. So we said before we get to that topic, we would like to go through some introductory discussions. These introductory discussions lay a very important foundation for that discussion which is to come. So the first introductory discussion which we discussed was why unity, and we discussed 3 reasons. We don't want to go back to that discussion. Today, if Allah gives tawfiq, we want to go through discussion number 2 and number 3, if Allah gives the tawfiq and time permits. And that is, what are the barriers stopping us from uniting? Okay, so some of the barriers and impediments which we will mention are specifically for Shias and Sunni unity. And some of the impediments and barriers which we will mention are general. So they can refer to Shias and Shias uniting, Sunnis and Sunnis uniting. Those can be counted as barriers even within a particular sect also. Okay, and the final discussion for today, if Allah gives us the tawfiq, will be some few suggested solutions as to what are we suggesting as solutions. How can we unite groups within one sect or Shias and Sunnis, and what are the solutions we are proposing? Okay, so let me share the screen, inshallah, and then we go through the discussion, inshallah. Okay, so this is the first discussion which we want to have for today. That what are the barriers which are stopping us from uniting? As I mentioned, that some of these barriers which I will mention are general. They can include Shias and Sunnis, and they can be even including the groups within a sect, as some will be very specific for Shias and Sunnis. So this is something which is very general. The first barrier, I believe, is what we call the halo and horn effect. So now this is something I bumped into when I was reading this article on Iqra online. It's a very beautiful website for those who are interested in researching and wanting to know more about especially Shia Islam. So what is halo and horn effect? This is something they discuss in psychology. Halo and horn effect is this, that it's a cognitive bias. So that means it's a purpose, intentional bias a person creates in within. So when you see a single trait or event or a behavior in somebody, that makes you conclude about the rest of the rest of the life of that person. So, for example, if you see a good behavior from somebody once only, that will make you conclude that the person is good throughout the life. Or if you see something bad happening or a wrong behavior from somebody, then you end up concluding that this is wrong. This person is going to be wrong and evil throughout his life. Now, this is what's called halo and horn effect. Now, how does it affect the discussion we are having? So Sayyid Ali Imran relates it to how we educate the community. And this is why I brought this in within this discussion. So he says that, so he gives a background, and then this background will give you a picture of why did he bring up this article. So in the article, it's a two-part article, very quick read. He gives examples. So he gives a background also why he wrote this article. He says that I was lecturing in a community, and the topic was something else altogether. And he very quickly made a passing remark about Khalid bin Walid. Now, Khalid bin Walid is very respected in the Sunni circles, and he's controversial even within the Shia circles. So he made this passing comment that Khalid Walid, a war strategist. So he says that when I came down from the pulpit, the one who had arranged the lecture called me and said that please clarify the statement about yours, of yours about Khalid bin Walid. So this is the whole reason then he ends up writing this whole article. So he then ends up explaining a bit better this cognitive bias which we have and how does it affect the education which we are going through. So he says one of the shortcomings in the way we educate the community is not allowing them to look at individuals and events through two lenses, through two perspectives, the positive and the negative. Instead, we restrict them to only one lens. Okay, so we just want people to look at one perspective and not look at the other perspective. That's called halo and horn effect, basically. Okay, so if you see a Shia, he will give you a perspective of Shiism and not even discuss anything about the perspective of the Sunnism. The same with the Sunnis. They will discuss what is in within Sunnism and not give you the other perspective. Now, worse it happens is when within a group. So, a Shia or a Sunni. So, if you're a Shia, you are discussing something within your own literature, and then you give one perspective and show it from one lens, and don't show the second perspective. Now, the worst happens is when these happens in educational systems. Now, when in educational systems where we're supposed to discuss things freely, when now you're being given one perspective and not given the second perspective. This is what's called halo and horn effect. So, to give you an example, a beautiful example of how halo and horn. So, Stephen Covey, in his famous book, The Seven Habits of Successful People, as an introduction, he says that successful people are those who are ready for a paradigm change. Okay, and this is where we say that uh, if we are to be able to get this change and bring this unity between groups within Shias and Shias, Sunnis and Sunnis, between Shias and Sunnis, there's a requirement for a paradigm shift within ourselves. So Stephen Covey discusses this. He says that uh, those who are successful people are always ready for a paradigm shift within themselves. He gives a beautiful example. This is a beautiful example to understand this halo and horn effect from another perspective. He says that he gives an example of a father and a child traveling in a train. So the child was so noisy, was shouting, creating tantrums and all whatnot. And the father was just standing in the train doing nothing. So those people around started thinking, that why is this father like this? Why is this child like this? Why is the father not doing anything? So they were getting irritated, yeah? Minute by minute, you get irritated as to why oh, he's not doing anything to stop his child from shouting and creating these tantrums. So after a while, they asked him that why are you not stopping your child? So the father made a statement which changed the whole perspective of people around in the train. He says, me and this child are coming from the hospital where we have just got the news of the death of his mother. So the child had lost his mother and the father had lost the wife. And suddenly the whole train and the people in the train change their perspective. Now they look at him with the eye of empathy or sympathy, whatever you want to call it. Okay? This is Hello and Horn. So if you look at it from one perspective only, that's Hello and Horn. But what we are now saying that we need to have both lenses, both perspectives. Okay? So Sayyid Ali Imran then goes on. He says that you see, there's some issues which are being discussed within groups or within Shias and Sunnis, they're being oversimplified. So, an issue which has so much dogma in within, there's so much to be discussed. They make it simple to show that, oh, everything is so easy. Okay, so he says that uh, there are some aspects that simply should not be oversimplified, such that years of dogma is built on top of these oversimplifications, only for severe damage to be caused once the nuance or truth is uncovered. And this is exactly what we are going through with some of the people who are leaving Islam. If you listen to these ex-Muslims, you will notice that they are facing this issue. When you don't give them both perspectives, there are some things which were hidden from them. If we had told them ourselves, it would, I believe, this is my humble opinion, that if we would have told them the both perspectives, we wouldn't have reached to the numbers where we are seeing today of the number of ex-Muslims. That's my humble opinion. Okay, but the damage gets done. Why? Because we're telling them of one story and the other side we don't tell them. So he says that it is for this fear that there is very prominent sentiment among some scholars and students where it's claimed that we cannot expose every truth to the community in detail because of the anticipated damage it will cause. So to run away from one damage, we are doing two damages. One is that if this child or this youth or whoever it might be knows the truth, then the damage is even higher. And the second is we're sacrificing unity. Okay? If people knew both perspectives, then people would have easily united very easily. But when people know one perspective and think the other perspective is wrong, to achieve unity is very hard and very, uh, what do you say? It takes a lot of efforts. So, uh, there's another issue, again, Sahelo and Orn related to this, another issue in psychology, what they call it heuristics. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. What the psychologists call the mental shortcuts. Now, mental shortcuts is basically good in daily life. So, what does heuristics mean? It means that you take a decision quickly based on the information you have. So you don't go research on something, you don't take time to study something, you just take decisions based on the information you have and quickly make a decision. Now, as I said, this is good to make decisions in daily life. But now just imagine the damage which happens when it comes to religion. You want to make quick decisions. And this is the oversimplification Sayyid Ali Imran is talking about. That we want to oversimplify things and make quick decisions about issues which require some discussions. It requires time to be given to it. So the psychologists say that three types of heuristics, which I'll not discuss all of them. The one I want to discuss is representativeness heuristic. They say that this heuristic involves making judgments based on how well an object or event matches a particular prototype or stereotype. So if it matches with our prototype and stereotype, we accept it. We doesn't match with our stereotype, we don't accept it. So two examples to be given. They say that if someone fits our mental image of a successful entrepreneur, then we assume that he's going to be successful, even if he's not. But because it fits into our mindset that he's going to be successful, then he's going to be successful. Okay. So a better example is they say that imagine you want to go vote, and this is something which happens a lot of times. A lot of people don't go research about the candidate because the candidates don't even mention their manifestos clearly. They mention very general headlines, which everybody would mention the same thing. And people make decisions. Now, how do they make decisions? So it's heuristic. They say that we make decisions based on the expectation we have from the leader, not based on the policies, not based on what they're going to offer. What we don't look at the track record, nothing, nothing. We just look at our own expectation from the leader and say, okay, this is the decision we want to make, and this is the person we're going to vote for. Now, just imagine you bring this to religion now. Okay, this is exactly what's happening in our religion at the moment. That we are heuristic, we're making quick decisions, we're making quick judgments about each other. As we go further, we'll give examples also. And this is it. Now, related to hello and horn, and then take this example now. The Quran talks about in Surah Ma'idah, verse number 8. This verse is relating to testimony, giving testimony and being a witness. But you relate it to our situation, it's beautiful how Quran discusses this. It says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina lillah shuhada bil qist. So when you're giving testimony, be fair, be just. Now, why will you not be just? Allah gives the reason. He says, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. You see, sometimes, so Allah gives another example in Surah Nisa, verse number 135, where He says that family relationships can make you give testimony in favor of your family relative, even if it's not in his favor, but you will give that. Here, Allah says, no, you have hatred towards somebody, you have animosity towards somebody, you don't like somebody. And that's what we discussed in the previous discussions. Baghyam bainahum. This animosity reaches to a level that when it becomes baghyana. Okay? So what happens? Then you give testimony against that person, not because they deserve that, because you have issues and hatred towards that person. Allah says, don't. Now relate this to our sects and our groups. When we are to judge about our own, so being a Shia, if I were to judge about a Shia, it's very easy to judge rather than being a Sunni. Or within a Shia also, if I'm judging about somebody who I don't like, if I don't align with in my views, then the views become different. We are not just in giving judgments. Okay? So Sayyid Ali Imran then goes on to say that the unfortunate fact of the matter is that we do not have a culture of engaging in meaningful and sincere dialogue. This is missing in within Shias, in within Sunnis, and within the Shias and the Sunnis. Much of our community does not even know what it's even supposed to look like. Why? Because one side is merely meant to point out the flaws of their opponent's personality. What all we do in the dialogues? There's no respectful and civil dialogue. It's all what we're going to do is label that person, spoil the image of that person so that we can show that we have won. Okay, we have won the debate somehow, rather than going for the truth. Okay, so this is Hello and Horn effect. Now he gives examples. He's given so many examples. I picked up these two examples. Within Shias and Sunnis, you will notice that there are some who have made up social media channels. Wallahi, this is very sad, wallahi. And I believe, and I'm not seeing condemnation from both sides of the spectrum. Shias and Sunni scholars have to condemn this behavior. If we don't go, if it's not contained, this is growing into a virus, it's going into a disease, wallah. It's creating divisions more. So you see some channels made, they will pick up some problematic scholars from within that sect. They come and cut their clips and they post their clips and show this is what Shiism looks like. Okay, so for example, God forbid, somebody says, oh, Imam Ali looks like God or he has godly characteristics and all. They take this and paint it and say, "See, this is what Shias believe in. They believe in divinity of Imam Ali alayhi salam and the Imams. Okay, now, not keeping in mind that Shia or Sunni heritage is for years. There's years of heritage of Shia scholarship. You leave all that aside and you bunch and you put all the scholars into this prism. Okay, that's the biggest problem we are facing. This is the hello and horn effect. Or another example he gives. He says, see, we all agree, even Sunnis agree that there was issues between Imam Ali alayhi salam and the Khulafa. There's nobody denying that. Okay. Now, how did they sort it and all? That's another discussion altogether. But there were issues. Nobody denies that. But to go to a level now, because of having issues with the Khulafa, okay, you go to this level. Now, this is where the halo and horn effect comes in. Abu Lu'lu. Abu Lu'lu was a Majusi. Okay. Uh, Sayyid Ali Imran says Abu Lu'lu, the disbeliever who killed Umar. Yet some Shia, in the admiration of a single act he did, which they consider to be a good act, they have gone to absurd lengths that they have painted him as a pious believer. They later even constructed a fake shrine for him in Kashan, which he discusses in another post, in another article. Can you see this? We're sanctifying a person just because uh, Imam Ali alayhi salam had issues with the second caliph. Now we are sanctifying the one who killed. He was not a believer, okay? But we have now painted him as a, and I'm not saying all Shias do that. Some of the Shias who do that, they painted him as a pious person, rather creating a shrine for him. Now this is where I ask myself that since when? Since when do we sanctify killers? Show me examples of authentic reports from the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam that the sanctified killers. No, we go to the extent of even celebrating a death of somebody we have differences with. Allah, show us authentic reports where Imams celebrated the death of somebody who they had issues with. I don't know. I don't know. But we have gone to that level. Now, why does it go? It's because of the halo and horn effect, which is having an impact on our education system. And because we're being taught one perspective and not shown the second perspective, this is where it's ending up into. So I believe this is one of the biggest barriers for unity. If we start educating our community, both the perspectives, unity will be something very easy to achieve uh, in the long run, inshallah. This is number one. Number two, uh, barrier number two, which I believe, again, this is again another general barrier, which can include within sects or within Shias and Sunnis also. We don't differentiate between two categories of people. Okay? Category number one are those people who don't know the truth. If they are told the truth, they will accept it. Okay? Opposed to the second group of people who are after batil, they're after wrong, they have an agenda and they want to create mischief. Okay? Now, majority of the people come in group number one. Within Shias and within Sunnis, majority of them come in within group one. They're being influenced by some people who are having this agenda behind them. Now, I was listening to Dr. Yasser Qadhi. He was talking about the rise of Islamophobia in the West. You see this now. the rise of Islamophobia in the West, which is happening. Now, uh, you see, this is the Quranic principle and Allah's principle. The same things which we are doing in within, they're being done to us without now. Okay? We treat each other like that, with animosity, with hatred. Even those people who don't have an agenda, those people who are sincere, they're making a mistake, sincere mistakes. They're not intentional in making their mistakes. We still bunch them into the same category of those people who have an agenda also. We are doing the same. Now we are being treated as Muslims the same in the West also. We leave it. I believe Allah will help us there also. So Dr. Yasser, when he talks about it, he says partially we Muslims are to be even blamed when it comes to the issue of Islamophobia. And then he gives this issue. He says that my point is we as Muslims have to separate between the two groups we are talking about. And generally speaking, most of the people in your offices, your colleagues, your co-workers, people in the society, they are not in category 2. They're in category 1. They're people who don't know the truth. Okay, if they're told the truth, they will accept it. So he goes on, he says that you cannot have hatred and fear and arrogance. You need to empathize, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine if for 20 years, 50 or 20 years, the only thing you are told about Islam is evil. Or in 20 years, you are told Shiism is evil. Or the 20 years you're told Sunnism is evil. What do you end up coming up with? Okay, so this is what I'm trying to talk about, that if we remove this, we don't categorize both the people in the same category. So Dr. Yasser Qadhi clarifies himself. He says that he teaches in colleges. He says that one of the topics in his college was Introduction to Islam. He says many of the non-Muslims came in. When he taught them, he realized that many of them changed their views. Okay, some even, he says, became Muslims also. So he says that majority are in category 1, those who don't know the truth. If told the truth, they will change. Okay, this is something Imam Ali alayhi salam also talks about in sermon number 61 in Nahjul Balagha. It says, لا تقتل الخوارج بعدي. So one of the questions, if you are researching in history, you will notice that why did Imam Ali act very differently with the Khawarij and the way he acted with Muawiyah? If you see Imam's behavior with these two groups, it's very different. He tolerated the Khawarij much more than Muawiyah. So this is the answer. Okay? Now, it gives the same understanding. Imam says, don't kill the Khawarij and the Kharijites after me. Why? فَلَيْسَ مَنْ طَلَبَ الْحَقِّ فَأَخْطَأَهُ كَمَنْ طَلَبَ الْبَاطِلِ فَأَدْرَكَهُ. Because the one who is seeking the truth but does not find it is not like the one who is seeking wrong and finds it. Similar understanding. Imam is saying differentiate between the two categories. There's one who is looking for the truth but doesn't find it. Okay? And the second one, no, he's after wrong. He has an agenda, basically. He's looking for batil and he finds it. You have to differentiate between the two. Okay, but unfortunately we are not doing that. And this is resulting now into bunching everybody we have issues with in one basket. Okay, all Sunnis go in one basket. All Shias become Rafidhis. All Sunnis become enemies. No, it's not like that. Okay, in within the groups also, anybody who we don't like, we term him and we name him with a label. Okay, so this is barrier number 2. Now, barrier number 3, which is again particular to Shia and Sunni only, I believe that some Sunnis think every Shia is doing taqiyya. Okay, and I'm not saying every Sunni does that, but you will see this coming out very much out in the open. Okay, that's the understanding you get from a lot of these speakers and all whatnot. Now, somebody might say that's not, speakers are not the criteria. No worries. You will see this also in the scholarly works also. So every Shia is doing taqiyya. Now, you can't do that. You can't do that. If dialogue has to happen, then there has to be husnul dhan. There has to be some kind of positive attitude towards the opposite person you're sitting with. You can't just accuse everyone of doing taqiyya, okay? So it's like putting all the Shias in one basket, that all of them are just hypocrites. They're lying. When they come to their sittings, they will speak something else. So I compare it by saying that if I were to say that if all Sunnis are Mu'tazilites or Hashawiyya. Now, Hashawiyya is a derogatory term for the Sunnis. The way they have it for the Shias, they call them Rafidis. The Sunnis used to have a derogatory term in the classical period. They used to call the Ahlul Hadith Hashawiyya. Okay? Inshallah, some other time we can discuss that. Now, if I do that and say every Sunni is a Hashawiyya, where will we reach to? Okay, we're not going to reach to a very, no dialogue, no common understanding at all. Okay? Rather, there has to be some kind of husnul dhan. Now, look at this. Now, when it comes out from scholarly circle, that's where it hurts. Allama Dhahabi, the famous scholar in the Sunni world, in his Mizanul I'tidal, notice one of the issues they have to justify is that why did Imam al-Bukhari not include Shia narrators within uh, his corpus, his hadith corpus? Now, it goes even further as to why did he not include the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in his corpus. So one of the reasoning they give is this. Now, this is where you find it, that they want to bunch every narrator into the same category. They say Imam al-Bukhari didn't bring in the Shia narrators. Why? فإنه يتجنب الرافضة كثيرا. Everybody is a Rafidi, and he used to avoid the Rafidis. Okay? Now, why? كأنه يخاف من تدينهم بالتقية. Okay? It's as if all the Shias are doing taqiyya, so that is why I didn't bring Shia narrators in. Now, there are some Shia narrators in within, but again, difference in terminologies. But again, not many to say that why he did he leave them? Because of this issue. Now, strangely, he doesn't avoid Qadariyya. Qadariyya can refer even to Mu'tazilites. The Khawarij, the sect which was totally misguided, but he brings them. And the Jahmiyyah, which they consider totally misguided, okay, but he brings them. Now he says that they don't do taqiyya, that's why I have, but the Shias will keep on lying, and they just lie. That's why we have not included them. This cannot go forward. We cannot have a dialogue and discussion with this kind of understanding. Now it goes further. Wallahi, this hurts when you see this from the other side. I was reading this book by Maulana Muhammad Taha Karan. I guess he's a South African. I don't know where is he from, but believe it's from South Africa. He writes this small booklet. It's called Taqrib, a study of attempts at Sunni Shia rapprochement in history. So what he's trying to do in the book is, the theory of the book is this, that he's trying to give examples of different areas of where there was some kind of unity between Shias and Sunnis, and he terms it all as taqiyya. He's trying to throw everything under the taqiyya basket. That means all the unity which was done within history was all taqiyya. Wallahi, now see where it leads to. See, he says that a closer look at At-Tusis Tibyan, Sheikh Tusis Tibyan, and At-Tabrasi, Allama Tabrasi's Majmu' al-Bayan, will soon reveal the reason for saying that these two books were written on the basis of taqiyya. Wallahi, this is ajib, yani. You know? Now, a person can do taqiyya in one, two, three, four, five instances. Sheikh Tusi's Tibyan is 10 volumes. Majma' al-Bayan is also running into the same 10 volumes. Okay? A person doing taqiyya throughout 10 volumes, it's ajib, yani. You sometimes have to be a bit more munsif and be just when you're making your conclusions. Now, his evidence, the Akhbari scholars. Very strange. Now, you see, we have to realize that there's a difference between the methodology of the Akhbari scholars and the rationalist and the Usuli scholars. We have to differentiate that. Now, he quotes Mirza Hussein Noori, the teacher of Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi, and says that if a person looks into a Tibyan, that the author's style of writing in it was very much going along with the opponents. It means he's trying to get close to the Sunnis rather than, And why is it happening? Because he's quoting the Sahaba. Okay? He's confining himself to the interpretations of Hassan al-Basri, Qatada, al-Dhahak, and the list goes on. And while he mentions nothing at all from any Shia Mufassirin. Okay, so Sheikh Tusi has included very few instances of riwayats even from the Shia sources. But the issue is Sheikh Tusi himself clarifies in his introduction why has he done that. We don't read that. We just come and take the whole book and say this is a whole book of taqiyya. Allah, if this is how we are going to go forward, then we can't have any dialogue at all. Okay? So he on page 7 then he goes on to say that since the available evidence indicates that these two books were written on the basis of taqiyya, we are compelled to dismiss the opinion that regards Majma' al-Bayan of at-Tabrasi as a pioneering effort in the field of taqrib and unity. Because it was written taqiyya, no unity anymore. Now, this is a bit of a, exaggerated understanding. Let's be munsif, let's be fair in our judgments. Let's not bunch every scholar in within the Shia world as somebody doing taqiyya. Okay, so Sheikh Tusi himself clarifies in his introduction. I will not go through it. My time is going through, but inshallah, some other time we can discuss. But somebody can refer to his introduction and come and realize that what was his methodology. Number one, and number two, when you study Shia scholarship, as you study Sunni scholarship, you have to differentiate between the Akhbari scholars and the non-Akhbari scholars. Okay, this is something a person when studying Shia Islam has to understand. If you put the Akhbari scholars with the non-Akhbari scholars, then you'll come and make so many wrong conclusions then. It's as if I come and say within Sunnism that the Atharis are the same as Ash'aris and the same Ash'aris are the same as Maturidis and Maturidis are the same as Mu'tazilites. You can't bunch these four groups together, okay? They're different, they have different methodologies, they come to different conclusions also. Okay? This is how a scholar has to go forward in his research and understanding. So that was barrier number 3, that not every Shia does taqiyya. Okay? Yes, the Akhbari scholars might be very inclined towards taqiyya, but not every scholar does that. Number 4. Now, this is in regards to Shias. Now, that was in regards to Sunnis. This is in regards to Shias. Wallahi, this is something, again, you see some of the Shias disrespect the Sahaba and the Umm al-Mu'mineen, the Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, and the wives of the Prophet, that there's a disrespect towards them. And I'm not denying this disrespect is there. We have to try and avoid that. Now, what I'm trying to make the point is, again, telling to my Sunni brothers that not all Shias are like that. bunching all Shias like that is not going to sort the solution. I'll give examples. Okay, so again, the same booklet of Maulana Muhammad Taha, he says the Shias revere Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, which nobody doubts about it. While the factor of difference is, which is respect for Sahaba, is carefully avoided. That means the Shias avoid respecting the Sahaba. No, this is not the case with every scholar. Okay? He says that if this is the case, this is one of the reasons for the charge that in Shia circles, taqreeb, unity, has never meant anything more than winning over the Ahlul Sunnah to the Shia camp. He's trying to say that all what the Shias do is when they try and sit in the name of unity, is trying to just attract Sunnis to Shiism. Yes, I'm not denying some others might be doing it, but not everybody. Not everybody. Okay. Now look at this. This is Sheikh Tusi in his At-Tibyan, in his tafsir. So those who say that he does taqiyya, wallahi, one of the areas where he doesn't do taqiyya is this, where he mentions his views very clearly, his Shia views very clearly. He respectfully disagrees with the Sunni opinion. Rather, he doesn't accept the caliphs the way they're being presented. Okay, so this is under verse number 54 of Surah Ma'idah, where the Sunnis try and say that the Sunni Mufassirin try and say that this verse is related to the first caliph. He says no, is diverting the meaning of the verse away from Imam Ali alayhi salam, despite the clear agreement of its attributes with his to someone else, is anything apart from evident bias. If somebody was doing taqiyya, would he write such things? That you're being biased when you're trying to say that these verse refers to the first caliph, when the attributes don't fit with it, don't fit with him. Okay, according to Sheikh Tusi. Now, then he goes on. Now, this is the statement: respectfully disagree, academically make your points very clear that I disagree with you, but there is respect also. Okay, and this is where I come and say that if we can create this environment, that we respect, we in a civilized manner, and I'll discuss this as further we go, respectfully disagree in a civilized manner, disagree with somebody, but respect the person opposite also. Don't spoil his image. Don't label that person. And this is exactly what Sheikh Tusi is doing. Notice he's saying, وَلَمْ يُذْكَرْ هَذَا طَعْنًا عَلَى أَبِي بَكْرٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. Some Shias would not say such things. Okay, but notice what is he saying. This is not mentioned after criticizing the view about the first caliph. He says this is not mentioned as a criticism of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, or as a reproach against him. For our belief in him is the positive one. This is the view of some of the Shia scholars. They have a view about the Sahaba like this. Okay? So we are just merely questioning that you are applying this verse to the first caliph. It doesn't fit with his qualities. We are applying it to Imam Ali alayhi salam. But that doesn't mean we disrespect the first caliph. No. Okay? Rather, in another place in Tibyan, he goes on to say, وَالشَّفَاعَةُ ثَبَتَ عِنْدَنَا لِلنَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وآله وكثير من أصحابه ولجميع أئمة المعصومين. Says shafa'a, intercession on the day of judgment. For us, the Prophet will intercede. كثير من أصحابه, a lot of his companions will even intercede on the day of judgment. Wallahi, this is Sheikh Tusi's opinion. Okay, that majority of the companions. Now, is this disrespect for the Sahaba? No, this is respect for the Sahaba. Okay, and the Imams alayhi salam also will do shafa'a and intercede on the day of judgment. This is one classical scholar. The second, a contemporary scholar, Ayatollah Khamenei, Hafidhahullah. Okay, he goes on to say that disrespecting the pure wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be avoided. The Prophet's wives are all respectable. This is the statement. Anyone who insults any of them has insulted the Prophet. No room for insulting anybody. No room for insulting. You insult any of these people, you've insulted the Prophet. Okay? And that's why he makes it very clear that insulting figures and symbols celebrated by the Sunni brethren, including the wife of the Prophet of Islam, is prohibited. Okay? Now, I would again like to show my fellow Sunni brothers that look at this. This is a book which has been published recently in Iran. Uh, it's a it's a book in Persian. I don't think so. It's there in Arabic yet. It's a book written by. It's under a lot of authors under the guidance of Ayatollah Muhammad Hadi Yusuf al-Gharawi, the famous historian. Okay, it's called Da'iratul Ma'arif Sahaba Payambare A'zam. It's an encyclopedia about the Sahaba of the Prophet. So this understanding that we don't respect the Sahaba, no, here it is. There's a whole encyclopedia. This is 7 volumes about the Sahaba of the Prophet. Okay, now what more do we want than this? Okay, and this is what I'm trying to tell my Sunni brothers, that not all Shias are the same. Don't bunch them into one category. Okay, another issue which again some Shias do that, and this is the whole issue about irtidad of the Sahaba. So they'll use some of the riwayat saying that all the Sahaba apostated, they became apostates except 3 or 7 or the number 10, whatever. So Ayatollah Sistani goes on to say that this apostasy does not mean leaving Islam. This is what I'm trying to show, that not every scholar in within Shia Islam has the same understanding. Some might have this, that yes, the common understanding some people are trying to get from is that all Sahaba became non-Muslims except 7, 10, 3, whatever. Ayatollah Sistani says no. Okay, this doesn't mean that. If that was the case, then they would have been executed. The law of, again, this law is contentious. Inshallah, if in the future we discuss this law somewhere, we'll discuss it further. But according to Ayatollah Sistani, he says that if that was the case, they had left Islam, then they would have been killed. They had to be executed, which they were not. Okay, and nobody said that they should be executed. Okay, and thus this could be an indication that apostasy was due to the failure to recognize the right of Imam. This is a Shia understanding, that we as Shias believe that Allah through the Prophet chose the Imams. Okay, and we believe that Imams is chosen by the Prophet. Okay, now when you believe in that, so anybody who goes up, who leaves that path, is not following the path of the Prophet. Now, this is an understanding within every school. Okay, that we have set of understandings, which that's why it makes a difference from the others. In the Sunnis also, they have adalatul Sahaba, which Shias disagree with, but we don't disrespect the Sahaba. Okay, we agree to disagree on that, and thus we should also agree to disagree on this issue also. Okay, of the issue of irtidad of, and I'm not saying some scholars have also tried understanding it differently. Some have had a discussion on that. Inshallah, some other time, if we discuss this hadith, we can discuss it further. The point I was making is this, that irtidad doesn't mean becoming a kafir and a non-Muslim and whatever. Okay? Number 5, barrier number 5. Uh, Again, in psychology, you have an issue, you have a theory called motivated reasoning. Motivated reasoning, again, it's one of the types of biases which we have. So the psychologists tell you that individuals tend to favor evidence which coincides with their current belief. Okay, so I will only look at that evidence which confirms with my belief, and reject all the evidence which doesn't confirm with my belief. A cognitive bias which we have in within, it's called motivated reasoning. So they give an example, then I'll give examples further. Say in 2017, there was a study conducted, there was a policy document created. Uh, the policy document was, they made it. Then what they did was that they put, so the policy document was shown to the people, and then later they stamped it, they manipulated that policy document by stamping it with the party stamps. So in some they put the stamp of Democrats and some they put the Republicans. Now it's the same document, huh? The same documents, everything similar. So this reminds me of the Gaza ceasefire deal just now, which happened. In May, it was the same deal which Biden refused. Okay, when this deal was there, the word to word deal was the same, and which was signed just now was the same, but rejected then, accepted now. Trying to justify it was different. Okay, so the same issue. The policy document, so those who are in favor of Republicans, the policy, the document is same, word by word. But what happens? They favor the Republicans, those who had Republican inclinations, they favor the document which was stamped Republican. And the one which was stamped Democrats was favored by those who favored Democrats. This is the motivated reasoning we have. And this is one of the biggest barriers, again, in unity. When you feel I am the one who is right, everybody else is wrong, and thus my beliefs are my beliefs, we will not go forward. We will not go forward. Okay, look at the examples. So this is Ala ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Okay, Ibn Hajar is one of the very great scholars in within the Sunni world. They call it Imam al-Muhaddithin, you know. In his Nukhbatul Fikr, so there's a discussion again, if we discuss sometime uh, later, this is a Rijali discussion. In Ilm al-Rijal, which narrators to be accepted, which narrators to be rejected. They have a discussion on that. So you will notice that in within Shias and Sunnis, there's difference of opinion as to whether Shia narrators should be accepted, Sunni narrators should be accepted. That's a discussion for some time later. What I'm interested in is here. He makes a statement which really hurts, you know, that now he's just talking about the reality which is going on. He says, لأن كل طائفة تدعي أن مخالفيها مبتدعة. No, it goes further. وقد تبالغ فتكفر مخالفها. Okay? It goes on to a level that every sect now claims the other one is an innovator, he's an heretic, is an innovator, مبتدع. Okay, it's Ahlul Bid'ah. No, it goes on sometimes to the extreme of considering others as disbelievers. This happens in within the group and it happens outside the group also. This is motivated reasoning. Okay, it says this is a nature which we are seeing in within the sects now, that everyone is just calling each other Ahlul Bid'ah and doing takfir of each other. So I wish Ibn Taymiyyah would have followed this principle he puts in here. He says that this is in his book At-Tis'iniyya. He says that truth is not necessarily confined to one group over others except for the believers. Okay? You don't confine truth in one place. Truth is not yours. Okay? Truth can be in different places, and I wish he could have followed this principle himself. The truth may lie with a person or a group in one matter, but not in another. So one person can be right in one thing, but not in the other thing. Why? Because you don't have the absolute truth. You are not somebody who is connected to Allah and revelation. And it's possible that disputants can be in error in both matters. Okay? Then he goes on further. He says, no one has the right to label a group affiliated with the followers of a person, whoever that person may be, other than the Holy Prophet, as the people of the truth. Allah, the criteria is the Prophet. He is the only truth because he's connected to Allah. Others, no. They can be right, they can be wrong, because they're not infallibles, they're fallibles. Okay? Now, this is Ibn Taymiyyah. Now, I wish you would have followed this principle. So I was just reading this book. It's a very recent book, apparently. عقائد العشائر في حوار هادي مع الشبهات المناوئين. So it's a calm dialogue. The person calls it the beliefs of the Asha'ira in a calm dialogue with those people who oppose the Ash'aris. Now, notice what he says. In his introduction, he says that what the book is all about answering those people who have issues with the Ash'aris. And that's what he's trying to do. All the doubts raised against the Ash'aris, he's trying to answer them. So notice, he says that the one who has written the book against the Ash'aris, this is a Sunni is writing in within, huh? And this is what I said. Inshallah, as we go further, we'll give examples. أخرجهم فيه من دائرة السنة. So he's writing the book and he is calling the Ash'aris not Sunnis. He's taken them out of the Sunnah. Rather, وَعَدَّهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْبِدْعَةِ. Okay? He calls them the people of innovation. This is what I was saying, the motivated reasoning. Everybody calls each other Ahlul Bid'ah. Okay? Now, he goes on to go further that who is this person writing? It seems, he says, what he intended by it was Ibn Taymiyyah. So the one who is writing is a follower of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim and those who understand with their understanding. So anybody who reads Ibn Qayyim, the student of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Taymiyyah himself, you get this picture that everybody else within the Sunni world is wrong. Leave alone the Shias, huh? Even the Sunni world, everybody is wrong, you know. So, however much effort a person tries to understand the Sunnah and the Quran, still he is wrong, okay? Another issue, again, Ibn Taymiyyah, again, this is a book now, I will not quote the reference to these two books. The point I'm trying to show is here, that this motivated reasoning goes to a level, as Ibn Hajar mentioned, that it goes to a level of doing takfir of each other. Now it is gone to a level of calling each other mushriks now. If we have such kind of understanding, where will the dialogue come in from? Okay? So again, the issue of tawassul and istighatha and all, he says that Ibn Taymiyyah in his minhaj says regarding the extremist Rafidah beliefs about Ali alayhi salam. Okay? The matter ultimately returns to shirk. فعاد الأمر إلى الشرك في التوحيد الربوبية. Okay, the matter returns to the issue of shirk. That means the Shias are mushriks. Okay, the Rafidas are mushriks altogether. Now, not realizing that even the Sunnis do the same issues. Okay, so will they put the Sunnis? Yes, sometimes they do that. Unknowingly, they do that. And you will see this happening with the current Atharis and the discussion, which if you're following up. Now, the harsh statement is here. He says, even the polytheism of the early pagans did not reach to this extreme. That means the mushrikeen of Makkah also did not reach the shirk of what the Shias are doing today. Now, if you were to use such kind of terminologies and understanding, then where will we sit? Okay, when will we have a dialogue? Okay. Now, this is one Salafi scholar. This is one Shia scholar writing this. Again, I've not quoted who he is. I'll not mention who he is. He says, as for the polytheists, now these are disturbing statements when you read this sometimes. As for the polytheists, there's no issue and there's no disagreement on the permissibility of mocking them, cursing them, and insulting them, as long as it does not constitute slander. So you can do everything with them as long as you are not slandering them. You can mock them, you can slander them, you can curse them, you can insult them, do anything. Okay? Now it doesn't stop here. What about the Sunnis? He says it seems that mukhalifin, that means our Sunni brethren, are to be treated similarly to polytheists in this matter. Now, again, I clarify this is not the stance of all the Shia scholars, huh? But what I'm saying is, I'm just showing examples. If this is the statements we use, these are the kind of disturbing statements which we use, then it's very hard then to have a dialogue then. Okay? Now, finally, very quickly, I'm sorry I've taken time a lot today. Very quickly, what are the suggested solutions so we finish this topic today? The few solutions I've come up with, these are my understanding. There might be more, there might be less. The first one is sticking to commonalities. If Allah in the Quran tells the Prophet, you can sit with the people of the book, the Christians and the Jews, and find commonalities, then we Muslims cannot find commonalities. Within our groups, within Shias and Shias, within Sunnis and Sunnis, we can't find commonalities and work together. If the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims could work together, then why not us? Have we gone so low that we have left this humanity and the sense of humanity in within ourselves? I don't know. Where have we reached? And that is why Ayatollah Khamenei discusses, he says that if we are to unite, we Muslims have to pay attention to the personality of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and make him the focal point. Leave everything else of ours. Leave our differences aside. Come to this focal point. Let's sit together on this focal point, work together, and make this Muslim ummah again prosperous. It's possible. Okay? So I was listening to a seminar, a symposium arranged by Dr. Khalil Andani. He's one of the academicians in the Ismaili world. So, what he did was that he invited four speakers. Uh, fourth was himself. One was Dr. Yasser Qadhi, one was Dr. Raymond Harvey, if I'm not mistaken, and there was a third one, I miss out his name. These four were to discuss Tawheed from four different schools of thought. Okay, this is what we defer to the level in Tawheed also. Okay, one was speaking, Dr. Yasser was speaking from the Athari understanding. He himself doesn't follow the Athari creed anymore, but he was speaking on their behalf. Dr. Raymond Harvey was speaking on the Maturidi's behalf. And then this other doctor was speaking on the behalf of Ibn Sina, the philosopher's view, and Dr. Andani himself was speaking on behalf of the Ismailis. Now, what made me feel very that thing was Dr. Andani makes a statement to Dr. Yasser Qadhi. He tells him that it's very rare to see this, that scholars from different strands of Islam come together and sit together. So I thought Dr. Qadhi will reject it and say, no, this happens every time. He says, yes, it's very rare such things happening. So I was only under the impression that we Shias don't sit together. We Shias in the different strands don't sit together. But no, it seems like even in the Sunni world, different strands don't sit together. Leave alone the different strands from the different Muslim sects. In within also we don't sit together. The Maturidis and the Atharis and the Asha'ira and the Mu'tazilites also don't sit together. Okay? So now The beauty of these discussions is this, that you will find commonalities coming out of this when you discuss. Okay, you will find commonalities coming out from this, and which will then make us then unite even more, and it will make us understand the other perspective, and again avoid the hello and horn effect. Okay, this is suggestion number one. Stick to commonalities. Number two, discuss the differences if the environment is there. So what we need to do as Muslims, in within groups and without also, is create an environment for dialogue. Sayyid Ali Imran was complaining of the same thing. He says that Muslims, we don't see any place where we can have a meaningful dialogue anywhere. No place. Okay? It's all about name calling and labeling others. What we need to do is create an environment where we can discuss respectfully, in a very civilized manner, discuss each other's opinions. And this is exactly what happened in that symposium, that you could see everybody presenting their own views very respectfully and nobody questioning and labeling others. Okay? If we can have such kind of seminars and symposiums, uh, otherwise dialogue is going to be fruitless. It's not going to be possible because there'll be name labeling and calling names with each other. So inshallah later I'll give examples from the imams also. But this beautiful hadith, this is one of my favorite hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Again, the Sunnis also respect him. Imam Sadiq is one of the very respectable ulama and within the Sunni literature also. And for the Shias, he's the Imam alayhi salam. Okay? So Imam is talking about the different levels of Iman and the different stages of Iman. Then Imam goes on to say that, so I'll not read the Arabic. It says, let not the one on the second step say to the one on the first that you are nothing. Lasta ala shay. Okay? Iman has 10 stages and categories. He says, let not the one who is in the second stage tell of the one in the first stage that you are nothing. I know more than you. I have more Iman than you. No. Lasta ala shay should not be the language. فَلَا تُسْقِطْ مَنْ هُوَ دُونَكَ. Don't ever dismiss and humiliate the one who is under you. Why? Because the one who is above you will do the same. You see the example I gave about Islamophobia? We Muslims are suffering the same issue. If we stop this in within, then I believe in the Islamophobia world also we will be saved to an extent by Allah. So the one who is above should not tell and humiliate the one who is under, that I know better, I have better Iman than you. No. Okay? Rather, Imam makes a beautiful statement. He says, إذا رأيت من هو أسفل منك بدرجة فارفعه إليك برفق. Okay? If you see somebody is lower than you, then pull him to you. But how? Pull him gently, not by labeling, not by calling him names, not by using terminologies which are strange. Okay? No, فَارْفَعْهُ إِلَيْكَ بِرِفْقٍ. Okay? Then Imam goes on to say, do not burden them with what they cannot bear, lest you break them. For whoever breaks a believer is obligated to mend them. فَعَلَيْهِ جَبْرُهُ. Okay? And this is exactly the statement Imam Ali alayhi salam also makes, that if we can create this environment, wallahi, this will be the Jannah we are going through, okay, on this earth. Uh, no, this is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, sorry. He says that أحب إخواني إلي من أهدى إلي عيوبي. Okay, this is apparently there from Imam Ali also, apparently, that Rahimallahu, with different wordings. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, the most beloved of my friends. Look at this statement, beautiful. The most beloved of my friends is somebody who guides me to my faults. Criticism should be very much welcomed. Okay, we should not believe we are with the truth and nothing but the truth. Everybody else is on the fault. Okay, so the statement is quoted even in Sunni corpus. So Sunnah Darimi, it's quoted from the second caliph. He quotes the same statement, but then he goes on further. He says, تحبون أن تقولوا فيحتمل لكم في- فيحتمل لكم. So, Allah, he says that when you say it, you feel and you feel that we should tolerate when you criticize us. But when we criticize you, غضبتم. Okay, when the same thing is said to you, then you are getting angry. Okay, so you see some people calling others deviant and all whatnot, but when they are called deviant, they get angry. Okay, the solution: remove it altogether. Okay, don't call each other deviants and whatever, kafir and all whatnot. Let's discuss, and if we come to an agreement, beautiful. If we don't, agree to disagree. Okay, number three, prioritize the issues where I say that if discussing some of the details of history is leading to this disunity, let's prioritize. Unity is better than this disunity we are facing. And number four, lakum dinukum waliyadin, accepting each other's belief, even if it's disbelief. That's what the Prophet did. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. You reach a place where you come and say that, okay, we have discussed enough. We agree to disagree. Now, some scholars would say lakum dinukum waliyadin has been abrogated, which I don't believe in. But again, when we come to discussions of abrogation, we can discuss that. So, lakum dinukum waliyadin sticks, and it's not abrogated. Okay, it's still prevalent and it's still applicable till date. You agree, beautiful. You disagree, agree to disagree. Okay, now this statement I read in Allama Alusi's Ruh al-Ma'ani, and I finish with this. It's a very beautiful statement. Uh, it's under Dhul Qarnayn. You see that scholars have differed. Who is Dhul Qarnayn? It's his role, and Ya'juj and Ma'juj. There's so many discussions out there. So he says that a teacher can differ with his student. Okay? So he says, he gives an example, Allama Alusi. He says that, what's the example? He says, don't you see how often two Imams, meaning Abu Yusuf and Muhammad bin al-Shaybani, who were the students of Imam Abu Hanifa, disagreed with their teacher, Imam Abu Hanifa. Okay? They disagreed. And there's no problem in disagreeing. This statement now, it's important for me. He says that it's possible that the disciples disagreed with the teachers on matters even that would constitute disbelief. It's no problem. فيحتمل أن يكون مخالفا له فيما يوجب الكفر. No problem. Okay? If you reach to a level where now you disagree with each other, now I don't believe we have reached to the level of kufr. I don't. Okay? But this is the extreme circumstance we're talking about. If you reach to that extreme circumstance of no, even if the person is speaking kufr, disagree with him, agree to disagree, khalas. Okay, and finish it. Don't disrespect the person. Don't label the person. Yes, academically, as I said, create an environment where you can discuss these issues, academically critique that person, no problem. But disrespecting and labeling and then I don't know what and what goes further, no, that should not be done. Okay, so in conclusion, we have discussed why unity. We've discussed some of the barriers which we believe are stopping us from uniting together with each other. And we have discussed some of the suggested solutions. This can be, the list is not exhaustive, it can be added, it can be also deleted. Okay, so we pray to Allah to give us the tawfiq to be able to unite with each other where the hearts actually unite with each other. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.